Okay, I'm here with Matt Fraser. We're going to talk about your third book, right?
Yes, my
Die.
third book. Can you believe it?
Yes, yes. And it was funny when I was reading it, it kind of reminded me of those books you read before you have a baby. It like kind of answers all your questions that you might have. Was that kind of in the back of your mind when you were writing it, like trying to address all the things people would want to ask you?
Well, it's actually funny. No, it wasn't. It was actually the fact that during the pandemic, everybody was writing and asking me questions because everybody knew somebody who had passed away or had gotten sick or, was afraid of getting sick. And people were so afraid of death and dying that literally it was during the pandemic that my inbox was flooded every day with questions like, what happens when we die? Is there heaven in an afterlife? How old are we in heaven? Are there soulmates? So, I started answering the questions as many as I could. And then I realized, well, wait a minute, everybody else must be thinking the same thing. And I realized that I had all of this knowledge from the spirit world and doing these readings that I never got to share or talk about with everyone. So I said, I can't keep this to myself. So I literally sat down, and every time somebody wrote me in a question, I answered it and I put it into my new book.
That makes so much sense because there's some really big things like, what do you look like when you die? Which spouse do you end up with? That one I was like, ooh, that's interesting, so, and I'm sure they continue to roll in. Did you end up just sort of taking some of the questions that you constantly got to? Because I'm sure you got millions.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, here's the things that I wanted this book to be the questions that people were too afraid to ask a psychic medium, but really needed to know the answer to.
Okay.
So these questions came right from my DMs, the questions that people were asking me privately about, like, for example, what happens when someone passes of suicide? What happens when you don't meet your soulmate here in this world? And I thought that this would be great to actually get it out there and give this information to everyone.
Yeah. Yes, yes, it is. It's so important. I also loved because I lost a pet like this time last year, and and it did say you are going to see not that pet, but all your pets. So I mean, it does give you a lot of comfort, when you read this. And the book comes out in the next week. Is that right?
Yes, so August 23rd is when the first shipment is set to deliver, which I'm so, so, so excited about.
Yeah.
It's actually amazing because this book has been one that like so many people are excited about. I mean, right now we have over 20,000 pre-orders on this book alone. It's absolutely incredible.
Wow, wow. Now, will you be able to do a book tour too? Like a signing?
So I'm hoping so. I'm not sure yet because right now the schedule has just been so crazy with touring and events, but we're trying to see if we can kind of work it together or do something around the holidays. But nothing's set in stone yet. Right now, the main goal is getting this book to as many people's doors as I can, within the next week or so.
Okay, and they can get it on Amazon. Where can they order?
Yeah, so Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, Bookshop, Simon and Schuster. Oh, and also Audible.com. I managed to do the audio version as well, which I recorded for everybody in case you're not a reader.
That's great. And will it also be available at your shows yet, or?
So not yet,
Okay.
not yet. But like I said, we're working on it because it's a new release. We're working out all the details of getting it to the shows as quickly as possible. But right now, the number one way to get it is to order it right now.
Okay.
Because we are limited in supply because it's a new release, which is really
Yes.
cool.
Yes, and you're a busy guy. I do have to ask you about baby Royce. When we talked last, we were trying to figure out this August schedule because you knew he was coming. I know Alexa's been kind of psychic with the baby. Did she have any feeling like when you left to go to that tour that something could happen and the baby could be born?
She didn't, to be honest with you, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. So before I left on tour, we went for our ultrasound, and weeks before we found out that he was breached. So we did that ultrasound, and the minute that you find out that you have a breached baby, you have to go for ultrasound after ultrasound after ultrasound. It becomes a weekly thing. So every week we went to an ultrasound, and every week they kept telling us the baby's breached. Oh no, he's really snuggled in there. Oh, he's not going anywhere. So to the point where we did exercises, to the point where we did yoga positions, we went to a chiropractor to see if maybe he could, move the baby or do, because they do some type of a technique where it kind of opens up, some room in the womb. Yeah. We did all these different things, and everybody basically said the same thing where they were like, you know what, this baby's not going anywhere. So that being said, Alexa had her ultrasound the day before I left on tour. And then while I was on tour, she had another one right before she went to labor. She had an ultrasound the day before. And literally she was checked. She had everything checked. Everyone's like, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. You know, he's still breached. And they were going to call her up. She was going to go, the plan was to go for one final ultrasound.
Yeah.
And then they were going to schedule her for a C-section and get it on the books.
Right.
So we were right in that area. And I said, don't worry about it. I'll be home soon. I was at my last tour stop when all of a sudden I got the news that, you know, she was in labor, and we were shocked. Yeah. I mean, shocked beyond belief, because like I said, the day before she was at the OBGYN, she was at that ultrasound appointment and met with the doctor.
Oh, Matt. And I know I read the story, how you were on stage. What was going through your mind during that?
So I got to tell you, I was absolutely shocked, because that morning, to answer your question, Alexa called me and she was like, her birthday was August 5th, and the family wanted to bring her out on the weekend for her birthday. Yeah. So they were like, come on, we'll bring you out to dinner. We'll get the whole family to come. It'll be great. Matt's away on tour. It'll be perfect for you. This way you don't have to be alone. So Alexa's like, okay, yeah, that's perfect. That's fine. Now, you asked me about about if she had any psychic feelings. Yeah. The one thing that I thought was very odd about all this is that week that I left on tour, she did not want to be alone. So Alexa was like, I want somebody to stay with me. So her sister and her mom took turns staying with her at the house, which really, Alexa doesn't like people staying here. She normally is alone by herself. But for some reason, that week, she's like, I need you to stay with me. So they stayed with her. And then literally that morning of her birthday, she called me up and she was like, oh, I'm just not feeling good. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, I just feel sick. She's like, I'm tired. She says, I'm just having a really hard time. She's like, I don't want to go out tonight. She's like, I don't want to go to this dinner. And I'm like, listen, you need to go. It's fine. She's like, well, what's wrong with me? She's like, I just feel, And I'm like, Alexa, I'm like, don't worry. I said, you know, you're in your last trimester. The baby's coming in 3 weeks. It's probably starting to catch up to you. Yeah. So she was texting her mom, and her mom's like, do you want to cancel? And she's like, no, I want to go. So anyway, long story short, she's like, listen, I'm going to FaceTime you at dinner and call you at dinner, you know, once I get there, check in. This way you can see the family before you go out on stage. Yeah. This is okay, like, not a problem. So literally, it's like, you know, it's an hour before showtime. I'm supposed to be going out and doing like a meet and greet and doing all this stuff. I'm getting ready. My phone rings. I answer the phone, and Alexa's on there with this shocked look on her face, and her mom and her sister are behind her, and she's like, Matt, my water broke. And I'm like, what? And the first thing I could think in my mind was, what do we do now? Because I know that the baby was breech. I know that there was no way that baby was coming through the hoo-ha. So I'm saying to myself, is she going to be, I asked her, are you in pain? She's like, no. I'm like, do you feel any contractions? She's like, no. So they're like, okay, we're going to call we're going to call the doula. We're going to call the, you know, the doctor right away. So they did. They wanted her to go to the hospital. Mm-hmm. So she was on her way to the hospital, and the moment that I hung up the phone, I just started crying, because I knew that I wasn't going to be there. Yeah. And what was so crazy is that, you know, it was an hour before showtime, and Alexa was like, listen, just go to the show. Don't worry about it. There was 1,000 fans lined up. She's like, do the show. Don't worry about me. She goes, I'm going to keep you updated every second of the way. So I was crying. I was like, unconsolable, like in the back. I like didn't even think I was going to be able to go on stage, to be honest with you. I was so upset. Yeah. And my team was so amazing. They're like, we're going to get you back there. They're like, we're calling for private jets. We're calling every airline. We are going to get you back, you know, whenever we can. So they went to work on that, which was great. And then I just stayed on FaceTime with Alexa, and she got to the hospital. She went into triage, and then they were like, you know, Alexa's like, just, you know, it's okay. Like, you know, it might be all right. They're saying that it might not be my water broke. It might be that, you know, it just seems like it might just be leaking amniotic fluid. Like, we're not going to worry about it right now. Yeah. So I went and I did the show, and I said to her, okay, I'm going to leave my phone on me. And then if something happens, you text or call, even though the show's going on. So the show went on and nothing was happening. I told everybody to start. When I got out on stage, I said, listen, I'm going to be very honest with you guys. I said, Alexa just went into labor. I said, and I don't even know if I can do this show tonight. I'm like, I'm gonna try my very hardest, but if I'm off or you don't have 100% of me, you don't have 100% of me, and I'm sorry. I won't let you down, but this is just who I am right now. And everybody was applauding. They were like, don't worry about it. Everybody was so good.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the show, it's on my last reading. And I'm like, I can't take this anymore. So I remember going back to the stage and doing my wrap-up speech. And I said, unfortunately, we are out of time. And I start wrapping up. And I said, I'm sorry, guys. I'm like, I just have to figure out what's going on. And I took out my phone and I started going through it. And then all of a sudden, what I didn't expect was everyone in the audience was saying, they were like, what's going on? What's happening? We want to know. And all these shouts started happening. I'm like, hold on. And I'm like looking, and there's no text, there's no calls, there's nothing. Ooh. And everyone's like, what's happening? I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. So I'm like, hold on, we're going to call her. So I got her on FaceTime and I called her from the stage. And that's when I found out that she was dilated and effaced and she was having contractions, but she couldn't feel them. And he was on the way. And literally not even a couple hours later, I mean, this all happened from the time that her water broke to the time this baby was delivered. It was just about 5 hours, not even 5 hours.
Wow. Was anybody in the operating room with her? Did her sister?
Yeah, so her mom went, and then the doula went as well. And then Alexa's sister stayed outside the operating room doors and had it on FaceTime. Okay. So I got to be there on FaceTime throughout the whole thing. I just didn't get to physically be there.
Oh, I'm sorry, Matt. That stinks. That's hard. But this is what's interesting. I know when we talked, you said you got a lot of, advice, like negative advice, like you're going to never sleep. It's going to be hard. You had a week with him. How do you feel?
I have not slept. I gotta tell you, it's been so hard. It really has been. I gotta tell you though, I've been loving every single moment. I really, really have. And the best thing that we did was that Alexa and I didn't have any visitors at the hospital.
Oh, that's good.
It was just me and her. And I really, we really needed that time to bond with him. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad that we did. We actually enjoyed our hospital stay so much. We added on an extra day. They let you leave after 3, but we're like, we're gonna stay here an extra day because I'm gonna be honest. Like being in the room, just me, her, and the baby, and being in the small room, we were comfy, cozy. We didn't have to worry about food. We didn't have to worry about medication. The nurses were there, everyone was there, and we could just spend time with me, her, and the baby. Mm-hmm. And it was just amazing. It was really magical. And we didn't sleep, but it's okay because, we had extra help and we learned a lot. And now we're home and we're just now getting him into a routine. In fact, he's actually with me right now, sleeping right on the side of me because Alexa's sleeping. So I got him right here.
Oh, Matt, he's beautiful.
So he's right here.
Oh, look at you're a natural.
Yeah. So while Alexa's taking a nap right now, I have him here with me, hanging out in the office with me.
Look at his hair. My goodness.
He's got so much hair. It's crazy. It's crazy. Oh. So he doesn't really fit. We weren't expecting him to be so hold on, come here. Want to come on camera? We weren't expecting him to be so small, obviously. So he doesn't really fit into a bunch of his clothes.
Oh, he's adorable.
Look.
How big is he?
So right now he's 6 pounds and he doesn't like the light. Yeah. 6 pounds and 10 ounces.
That's pretty big for being early, though. Like, what was he going to eat something when he was born?
He was supposed to be. He was supposed to be when they projected out the weight. He was supposed to be 8 pounds when he was born. Yeah. So I think he's right on schedule. What, did I wake you up?
Oh, bless his heart.
I got my little Docket's heart Docket's heart next to me.
You're natural, though. You are natural. Like, I remember when my son was that age, I was in panic mode the whole time. But that is so wonderful. And I think with your training as an EMT, is that sort of helping with Alexa's recovery? Because that's a painful recovery. It's slow.
Oh, it definitely is. It definitely is. And, it's also helping me with him as well. I've learned so much. Yeah. And I got to tell you something. I'm loving it. I am loving it. And I'm like, I said to Alexa, I don't even know how I'm going to go back on tour now because, it's just, you just want to look at him and play with him and do all these different things. It's like, and already we're like, oh my God, he's in the past week alone, he's changed so much.
That is incredible. Well, I can't wait to follow his journey. I know I've been looking at you guys on Instagram, just so happy for you. It's so wonderful. So many great things, and everyone needs to go get the book. It's a great book. Lots of questions are answered. And yes, I will let you go back to taking care of him. And thank you so much for giving me some time today. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you for covering the story. I can't wait to share it because what's so amazing is that there were so many cliffhangers that were there too, like especially with the event and the show. And I remember everyone's like, did you make it back in time? And I didn't, but it actually took me crazy enough because we were coming from Sacramento and we just could not get we couldn't get flights back. I mean, it was crazy. So it ended up taking me 9 hours to get back to Alexa. And I remember like my tour manager was like, Matt, you have to sleep. He's like, I booked you first class, sleep, take a nap. And I was so excited that literally I could not sleep on the whole flight, like coming back. And then we had to switch planes. And then like we had to go and there was a little bit of a layover and a delay. And what it was only a 15-minute delay, but to me, it felt like 3 hours because like I just could not wait to get back and to see him.
Yeah. Well, I hope you have lots of coffee always on because I know you need it. Yes. And all the help. I'm glad you have all the help. You've got your family, her family. I'm sure everybody wants to hold him. So I think that's just fantastic. Well, I'm so glad he's here. He's beautiful.
Me too.
He's beautiful.
Thank you.
Enjoy him. Please, give Alexa my best, and hopefully she recovers quickly. I know that's a hard surgery to go through. So.
Well, I got to tell you something else too. Now that you just brought something up to mind when you were asking me about, Alexa being psychic and if she felt anything psychically. The weird thing is, okay, now that you bring that up, I remember you did the story about how Alexa had the dream.
Yeah.
So what was really weird is that when she had that dream about Royce, when she was holding him in the dream, he was tiny. And she kept saying to me, like really tiny. And she was like, oh, she goes, it's just how a dream is. She goes, she didn't really think anything of it. But I'm wondering if that was just a sign because he was premature. He's late term premature, but still he was premature by 3 weeks. I'm wondering if that's the reason why she dreamt that.
Oh, you got to ask her that because you're right. That is interesting. Yeah. Well, this is going to be a very interesting journey with him as well, just to see, what he's like and everything like that. So, that does make you think. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, thanks again. Go take care of him and her, and hopefully we can connect again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. Best of luck. Thanks, Matt. Take care.
Thanks, Gina.